Bonsoir, dear friends. Welcome to JCB Live Wine Styles in the very historical cellars of Buena Vista. I'm delighted to welcome you into my favorite cellars of all time, the first gravity flow cellars in the history of California. This is so exciting today because it's smelling wine. You cannot smell the wine because you are viewing us, but I can tell you it smells strawberry, raspberry, cinnamon, licorice. I have one foot in the tank, the other one outside of the tank. Why? This is the first day of fall. We are finishing the vat fermentation. And as you can see, when we took over Buena Vista in 2011, we reestablished the historical way of making wine. What does it mean, the historical way? Open top fermenter, as you can see. We can store wine as well throughout the year in those. And we do physical pigeage, and we let the slow conversion of those beautiful natural sugar into alcohol. After this, as you can see, I'm in the tank, which recently was devatted to be nicely, gently pressed. And I'm gonna go and meet the count and taste the wine of this harvest already in the barrel. So we are blessed, we are excited. This is September 22nd, the first day of fall, which welcomes really the most important part of winemaking. Conversion of that beautiful fruit into alcohol. But then you give birth to a child, you need to raise him or her. In this case, she will be raised in a barrel, in a beautiful barrel coming not only from France, but from Hungary, as well as the central part of the United States. We welcome all those parts at Buena Vista, who was the first to really bring barrel aging from France at the highest level. So I'm gonna go now and meet the count in those historical caves, remember, chiseled by wonderful friends from China who had the know-how on how to build the most prolific and phenomenal and temperature-controlled tunnel. So I'm gonna jump off. Stay with me. I cannot wait to show you more of what's happening at Buena Vista, the most exciting cellar in the history of California, and more than ever today, open top fermentation, barrel aging in the ultimate conditions, that is those perfectly temperatured, humid cellars of Sonoma and Napa. And we will be talking about the marvelous change of seasons and the Count and his poetic creation behind every wines. But before that, let's go and see the Count. He wants to show me something very special. The Count.
Oh, Jean-Charles!
To welcome the wine, I cheer to you. And Count, thank you for bringing the candle, the ras de cave, to bring the essence of the history of why and how we truly taste wines. Look at that. Is that purple gold?
This is indeed purple gold. Jean-Charles, this is a Zinfandel. It was completed in the first fermentation in our open top fermenters just 4 days ago, devatted, placed into this barrel. So it is a fresh wine.
We feel youth, we feel energy, we feel the willingness to give. A 20 out of 20 vintage, which would be 100 points on the scale equivalent.
I am so happy. Another vintage in the cellar here in our champagne cellars inside the cave dug into the solid rock of the Mayakama Mountains by my Chinese workmen. It took 50 Chinese workmen 3 months to dig each of our 3 caves. 100 feet deep, you can see the pick marks of my workmen upon the walls, and I was a political supporter of the Chinese as they were hardworking and honest. And they made the perfect workforce for Buena Vista Winery from the beginning. founded all the way back, Jean-Charles, in 1857.
Count, if I may say, the 2020 vintage is outstanding, and as it is September 22nd, the first day of fall, I want to invite you to really think about the beautiful, deep, rich color we're already getting. I mean, look at that. You are blessing me of joy having a ras de cave. This is a historical tradition all the way back from the 17th, 16th, 15th century. The monks used to utilize those little ras de cave to look at the colors of the wine in those dark cellars.
This is a Zinfandel, Jean-Charles.
Did you bring it to the US?
I was one of those who brought Zinfandel to California and to prove. And I was the first one, it appears I've misplaced the papers, proving this to be the case.
I believe you. I trust you blindly now and forever.
Thank you, Jean-Charles. In 1861, I did go to Europe, of course, to bring back cuttings of vinifera, European grapevines. On a 7-month journey, I finally brought back 100,000 twigs, about this big, of 353 different varieties, as my dream, Jean-Charles, was not just to make great wine here at Buena Vista, but to build an industry. And so it became the case.
And you did. And that place was called the Chateau. This is why now we should go urgently and indulge with the magnificent Chateau wines that we ought to share with the world.
I can think of nothing more magnificent.
Before that, I want to drink to this harvest 2020, and I want to celebrate with you this fresh juice already transformed and tasting so fruity and cosmic and intense. I can already feel licorice, cinnamon, and a little leather.
Raspberry as well. It is remarkable. The fruit of the vine produces exceptional wine here at Buena Vista.
I would use your expression. This is the best purple gold ever. Let's go and taste Chateau.
Okay.
I'm delighted to be with you, Count. Into those historical cellars that you build. I feel empowered with your energy and entrusted with your shares to continue your dream. So Count, we have created together the most exciting wine I believe ever created. As the winery was called Chateau, we have now created a whole series under this name. Do you think it would build international acclaim and awards like you have in 1864, 65, 66, 67 around the world with the Chardonnay?
Our wine won awards all over the world, as you said, Jean-Charles. It is only fair, just, and correct that this wine, the Chateau Buena Vista Carneros Chardonnay, shall win many awards, as this is glorious, glorious wine, Jean-Charles.
Oh, Count! Sonoma Coast Carneros.
Carneros, this is, in my view, the perfect triangular balance of oak, malolactic, and acid to form a perfect food wine as well as an excellent aperitif for poolside use. But now it is fall, we're thinking, moving into the fall, we're thinking of food that goes well with red wine. We have been drinking Chardonnay all summer, Jean-Charles.
But this is still coating my palate beautifully.
Wonderful wine.
Looking at those beautiful red leaves as I came into Buena Vista, it entrusted me to have cold salmon and mayonnaise, pike coldly cooked as well. Or maybe what you love as well, Count, escargot with garlic.
Oh, garlic and this white wine would be perfect. Or perhaps a white cream sauce and halibut. As the acid of the Chardonnay cuts through the cream, returning your mouth to stasis, the point of the wine and food pairings.
You're making me starving, Count.
It does make me so
I know, I love
hungry.
cooking with you, and more specifically when you tell me what to do.
Well.
The last one, the goulash.
Oh, it was quite remarkable.
When is our next one, Count?
Soon, Jean-Charles, soon.
Wait.
And we are going to film right above this building in back, right looking out at the Mayacama Mountains, tasting and cooking in the Mayacama.
I'm shivering of excitement.
So back to the Chardonnay, grapes picked early in the morning to keep the acid levels high, whole cluster pressed, beautiful fruit, fermented in French oak. Surely aging was applied to give a nice textural quality to the wine. And so once again, it is the cool breezes of Carneros that make the acid high to balance the mallow. It is the perfect balance. And in Chardonnay, it is all about the balance of these three elements together.
And today, Count, as creative, artistic as you are, I understand you've been creating a melody for us to let the music get into our bodies and enjoy the wine, even at greater levels than they do on their own.
Well, thank you, Jean-Charles. I shall sing for you now this Chardonnay song. Chardonnay, you are the one, fabulous, bright, golden liquid. You shine like the sun in the winter or the fall, in the springtime, summer, any time at all. Chardonnay, Chardonnay, you are the best. You simply have much more flavor than all of the rest. Vanilla, apple, and pear, papaya, coconut, butterscotch, buttered toast. Chardonnay.
Magnificent, Count. So inspiring.
Thank you, Jean-Charles.
I really feel that's a song I want to learn by heart now. I love the butterscotch, and I like the papaya.
All these flavors are there. It can be hard to discern them, but as you become more of a wine taster, building an invisible wine library in your head, these will all make sense. And besides, it's fun to do.
Well, Count, we got to finish because the little brother of Chardonnay is alive. Dear friends, when you think about the DNA of those two magnificent wines, always remember they're from the same tree. Wine became white, Chardonnay, Pinot Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, and on the red side, Pinot Bureau, Pinot Meunier, and many others. So Count, I believe as we look at the family tree like you have, created an amazing tree of wonderful children. You've built a balance of young boys and young ladies to help you to continue to build Buena Vista. I love this idea of the tree of life of the Harasti.
Well, many of our wines available here just at the winery are named after my family, but this line, the Chateau Buena Vista line, honors the creation of the chateau, the first winery building and home here in California. And now the Sonoma Coast Pinot Noir is another addition to the Chateau Buena Vista line, a pedigreed Pinot Noir from extraordinary vineyards, Deloche Estate Vineyard, your own vineyard, Jean-Charles.
Well, made in those beautiful open-top fermenters that I came out to descend to the world to feel your energy and to be again transcended to new heights as I look through my ras de cave, my lovely candle, to the beautiful ruby layered colors of red and deep purple red of this wine. But Count, I understand that you've created another song for this.
I have a Pinot Noir song, Jean-Charles. My little Pinot, so red, so fine. My little Pinot, won't you be mine tonight? Maybe too late, my little Pinot. It feels like fate. Oh, let my lips embrace you, then I shall slowly taste you. This is the best part.
I love it. My lips and I slowly taste you. Let's do that together.
supple grapey, and delicious. You're mine, fulfill my wishes. From the Russian River Valley or Carneros, where the fog blows, ask Lord Bacchus, for he knows. Buena Vista and Bright Maloney make the finest Pinots.
And Count, now a new release. And as we still have wine in our glass, we don't need to serve it because we are on a deep, intense, really truthful allocation. Every bottle counts, no pun intended. To all the United States and the world, this gorgeous Haut-Brion bottle, dear friends. When you look at this shape, this is one of the most delicate, sensual, elegant, Bordeaux, historically driven shape, used by Haut-Brion in Bordeaux and a famous other chateau in the Beaujolais, named Chateau de Pierreux in Brouilly as well. So we had those beautiful shoulders that represents your powerful shoulders, Count. The energy that you display to the elegance of this blend, which is all about Sonoma and Napa. So Count, tell us about the magic of the first ever Proprietary blends, the blend that you've made all your life since the foundation and the history of Buena Vista, as single varieties came later.
Indeed. In fact, I, Jean-Charles, as you know, never bottled a single varietal. It is a modern notion. I always blended different grapes together because by blending we receive varied flavors without extensive bottle age. The art of the winemakers to blend. And so this gorgeous blend, known as the Chateau Buena Vista Proprietary Red, is both from Sonoma and Napa counties. Now this is because by 1863, I possessed 6,000 acres of land that extended from the Sonoma Valley into Napa County, and thus two unique terroirs that each produce the perfect attributes of sun, soil, weather, and vine to make terroir the perfect way to create perfect wine. Now, this is also a blend, 56% Cabernet Sauvignon, 24% Merlot, 17% Petit Verdot, 5% Zinfandel, 2% Cabernet Franc, 2% Mission. It is a glorious blend.
2% Mission. Tell us about that.
Well, the Mission grape we now know as the Stan Prieto, a grape from the Canary Islands. But the Mission grape is a vinifera grape, brown-skinned. It made a coarse wine, but it was the wine used by the Mission fathers that had gone all the way to Peru and Bolivia in the 1580s, genetically transformed as it moved its way up to Mexico, but still was the most planted grape until I went to Europe to bring back vinifera as I needed more. And now I am overjoyed and pleased to sing for you a brand new song. And Jean-Charles, forgive me, but I just wrote this now.
I'm
going to perform for the very first time the new song.
New season, happy fall.
When your wine is boring and it needs a little help and nothing is going right, close your eyes and expand your mind, and soon it will be clear just what you need to find. You need a blend. Oh yes you do. You need a blend. More than just a single wine, but many different kinds. You need a blend. Oh yes, you need a blend.
Bravo! Count, what a beautiful song. And this one I can learn quite rapidly. I like the fact that you went shorter on the words, but beautiful on the melody. I need a blend.
We all need blends.
I need a blend. I need a blend. I need a blend.
Blend, blend, blend.
This is magnificent, Count.
Delicious too, I might add.
Well, such an interesting statement. Tell us, Count, a little bit about the missions, because the Count of Buena Vista, dear friends, started in the 1840s in San Diego and finished in Sonoma. He was the mission himself. He had the same route as the missionaries, but for another mission, to create wine and make history for America.
The Mission Fathers of Alta California, San Diego 1769, Sonoma 1823, and 21 missions all in the line. I think it's safe to say that the wine made by the Mission Fathers was not particularly good. The San Gabriel Mission was known as the best, but still in all, too cold in San Francisco, Mission Dolores, too cold. And here in Sonoma, however, grapes planted as early as 1825. Although curiously, the very first grapes planted in Sonoma County were not planted by the Spanish. Indeed, they were planted by the Russians.
The Russians.
In 1814,
They were
what is now
already
called
here.
Duncan's Mills, the Russians, and they planted a grape called Golden Chasselas that they had received in Valparaiso, Chile, 10 years before. One more interesting historic fact. But this mission grape now is used to make something called Angelica, which is a fortified wine and is absolutely wonderful. And we here at Buena Vista have our own Angelica made by Brian Maloney, our winemaker. Just another example, Jean-Charles, of your fanatical desire to expand the world of wine, to understand there's more than just a few grape varieties or types of wines. There are many, many kinds, and I suggest all of you to come to Buena Vista and enjoy the Angelica.
And enjoy
nothing like it.
Enjoy the history of the world through grape varieties. Because Angelica is the grapes that really speaks pre-1826 of the influence of those Catholic fabulous missions to California. Luckily, the Count was then born. The Russian did a fair deal, but the Count himself, coming from the empire of Austria and Hungary, came here with a vision to bring phenomenal wines to America. And this young man, as you see him, is the father of modern viticulture, is the father of vitis vinifera. Think about transportation in the 19th century. He went to get the cuttings, he brought them on a boat, months later, including the fabulous barrels that we're sitting on, and really brought that vision of fine wine. It takes someone very unique to be a pioneer, to be an innovator, and to be really pivoting of a time of digressional vision. And what I mean by that is, it's easy to follow the norm. It's harder to create your own trends and build your own future. And not only the Count did it for himself, but he built the future of California winemaking. Count, tell us about all the awards in the 1860s you got from all over the world, Austria, France, England, Germany, as I pour you the Napa Valley Cabernet.
Well, it is an interesting and true fact that my wine has won awards for many years, including now, of course, many, many awards that are coming in on a daily basis for our wine, even though my desire was to make great wine at Buena Vista, and I succeeded, and to build an industry which I succeeded at. Still in all, the present day is even better than I had ever dreamed it could be. I will tell you one interesting point, Jean-Charles. When I arrived in California, the grapevines were 6 feet apart. But in 1861, when I went to Europe, I went to Burgundy, Jean-Charles. I went to Vosges. I went to your hometown.
He was in my house. The Count before I owned the house. And my parents got established in Vosges, which, dear friends, happened in 1969. I was born in the house they just had bought that year, which is a 17th century historical home inhabited by the monks. The Count, in 1861, came to that house.
I believe I had an omelet there, Jean-Charles.
I mean,
it was a mushroom and
news?
cheese omelet. It's coming back to me. But what's important to recall here, Jean-Charles, is that, once again, 6 feet apart in California, the rows. Now, in Burgundy, the rows were 3 feet apart. but such extensive pruning and dropping of fruit, the green harvest, in June or early July, that the amount of grapes ending up with was the same amount, although twice as many grapes to begin with, you see. And so that is why, but the quality of the fruit was vastly higher. This is the message I brought from Europe to America, that great wine made in the vineyard, not in a winery. And that to make a great grape, you make a great wine, and the fewer grapes on each vine, the more flavor in each grape. This is the secret of European viniculture I brought to California. Before I arrived, it was all about volume. But it's not about volume at all, of course. It is about the perfect grapes, creating those grapes that make for the perfect wine.
Dear friends, when we think about the history of California, and I'm delighted you do, because I had the pleasure, of course, to meet and feel the energy. We think of Robert Mondavi, 1966. We think of many other great times. The Judgment of Paris, 1976. You know, obviously steered in the right direction by our very good friend Steven Spurrier. But let's never forget that the 19th century existed. And this is when it all started. Dear friends, think about where the light come from. Think about the origin. Think about the beginning. Think about the founding fathers, the founding people of California, and why the Count came here and why he built this unfathomable moment of history that created one of the best places to make the best wines in the world. This wine, Napa Valley Cabernet, is his absolute seeds. You know, in old Egypt, I need to tell you, Horus, in front of all his disciples and peoples, used to give his seeds to the Nile, which would bring fertility and, of course, the beautiful bounty harvest along the bench of the Nile. I know it's an image of the Greek and Egyptian originally mythology, but this is the truth. The Count built the fertility of wine in America, and we should be grateful to this amazing Napa Valley commitment, Count.
Well, my dream was not just to make great wine in Sonoma, but in Napa, because as I said earlier, I owned land in Napa. I planted grapes in Napa land. I taught Charles Krug of Napa how to make wine. Sonoma and Napa have been intertwined from the beginning. So Chateau Buena Vista Napa Valley Cabernet, fruit from central Napa Valley floor.
Count, I interrupt
you. Yes, right ahead.
So right where we are right now, in your cellars that you've built,
yes,
Charles Krug was right here.
Yes.
And I understand the press, which we just moved to devat the wines you just gave me, is now at Charles Krug Winery. You gave it to him.
Well, he borrowed it from me, Jean-Charles, and it is a sticking point, I must admit. Because he told me he would give it back, but he hasn't yet. Well, there you are. But getting back to this beautiful Chateau Buena Vista Napa Valley Cabernet, fruit from the central Napa Valley floor, Yountville to Rutherford to St. Helena, you may detect something we call the Rutherford dust, the fine-grained tannins that exemplify this most perfect of growing regions. 18 months of age in French oak, bottled unfiltered. It is a wine that, as you taste, is soft, and as you swallow, the tannins turn gripping. And this is a wonderful thing for a food wine as well, in an oversized bottle meant to impress. The first and second stone wine
like
buildings in California on the wine. This is the Chateau Buena Vista Napa Valley Cabernet, transformed by my top hat and by our attention as we enjoy this beautiful wine.
It's so good, Count. As I know, you just created an amazing song for this incredible wine.
Thank you.
I'm getting prepared.
Cabernet is the king of the vineyard. Not a Merlot, not a Pinot, not a Zin, but Cabernet is the king of the vineyard. And Buena Vista makes the finest of them all.
Dear friends, to another amazing time together. And let's never forget, think about the source, think about the beginning. As we all loving the Buena Vista wine, let's make sure they're in our cellars and we help the world to get to know the history of California, the beginning of wine in California, by the man I'm always magnetized by and energized from. To love, to passion, to history, to Buena Vista!